Yes. Hello, Rob.
Hello.
My first question is, what is Transition Town or Transition Initiative?
A transition initiative is a group of people who come together in a place and decide to act as a catalyst for the work of making that place more resilient in these uncertain times that we live in. So particularly in the light of climate change and our need to drastically reduce our carbon emissions, in the light of peak oil, the end of the age of cheap energy, in the light of the economic crisis that is unfolding, and many other things that we all know just something's not really quite right, and that we need to shift what we're doing and live more within our limits and more within our resources. But also we've become so disconnected from each other as well. So transition is about bringing people closer together, rebuilding community, learning to work together. And one of its key insights, I guess, is that the age of cheap energy enabled us to do everything on bigger and bigger and bigger scales, and economics worked on a bigger and bigger scale. Transition's observation is that as we move out of that time, then the scale on which we do things will start to shrink, and the local and the regional will become much, much more important. So transition doesn't wait for permission from anybody. Transition is about getting on with it ourselves and seeing, making our communities more resilient as a form of economic development. And it's about you, and it's about me, and it's about people having fun, and it should be something which is celebratory and thrilling.
And what are the novelties of transition? What is it?
I think that there are things about transition that are very new. I think it's quite a unique sort of synthesis of different things. In terms of, I think previously a lot of environmental approaches just focused on that we have to do stuff, we have to campaign and stop things. Whereas transition focuses as much on what we want to create instead, and actually starting to create that, not waiting for permission for anything. I think transition also acknowledges that the changes on the scale that we need them are not just an external process of installing solar panels and planting carrots. It's a process which is also will affect us. We also need to be building personal resilience and group resilience and community resilience. So that idea that it's an inner process as much as an outer process is really unusual, I think. I think also maybe a sort of self-organised element to it, that people just get on with it themselves. People come to us at Transition Network and they say, it's so amazing what you're doing, but we don't do all of that stuff, transition initiatives do that on the ground. And so that's really exciting too. Yeah.
And what tips or ideas you can give to people in Israel starting transition initiatives?
Well, I think the most important point is I've never been to Israel, so I have no idea. You are in Israel, you know your communities, you know your place and your culture and what's possible and what's not so possible. I'd say the best place to start is generally by forming a group, whether you already know the people or whether you run an event and find those people. How you find that group is to you, but find some people you can work with. Start trying to raise awareness in the place that you live in some way, with talks or films or whatever. Link up with as many other people as possible. Build in as much time to celebrate achievements as possible. Don't just give people distressing information without also giving a context within which you're giving them that, and also without giving them an invitation to be part of doing something about it. And start doing things. If in a year's time after you've started your transition group, all you've done is have meetings, you need to step quite quickly into doing something, something sweet, even something small. Grow food on somewhere on your high street, or there needs to be a practical manifestation of what you're doing quite soon. But I suppose the main bit of advice is, that actually there's people all around the world who are doing this process, and learn from them and learn from their experiences and share what you're doing. because transition is maybe more than anything else about possibilities and about stories. So the stories that we are able to tell about transition are the thing that breathes possibility in the place that we live. And I talked on Friday about how there's some very famous children's stories in English by Rudyard Kipling called the Just So stories, and they're stories about how different animals, like how the elephant got its wrinkles and all these kind of things. And in those books, God takes clay and makes the form of an animal and blows life into the clay, and then the creature flies away. And it feels to me like what tradition does is the stories that we are able to tell about what we're doing breathes possibility into the places that we live. It starts to change the story of the place that we live, and that's immensely powerful work, I think. And so, if people start transitioning in Israel, share those stories, tell us what you're doing, listen to the stories that are coming from other places, and share and tell those stories, because that's where the power of this lies, really. And good luck.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.